Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, watching the stars through the large window in front of him. 3 years had passed since humans first learned to travel faster than light. Now they were far from Earth, exploring places no human had ever seen before. "Captain, we're picking up something strange," said Danny Cole from his position at the communications desk. His fingers moved quickly over the control panel. "There's a large object about 2 million kilometers away." Lisa Rodriguez looked up from her engineering station. She had been checking the ship's systems when the alert came in. "It's not showing up on our normal sensors, but the energy readings are off the charts." Jake walked over to where Kate Williams sat at the science station. Kate was the smartest person on the ship when it came to understanding new things. "What do you think it is?" he asked. Kate studied the data on her screen. Her face was serious. "It's definitely not natural, Captain. The energy pattern is too organized, too perfect. I think we found our first alien ship." The bridge became very quiet. Everyone knew this moment would come eventually, but now that it was here, nobody knew what to say. Jake felt his heart beating faster. Everything they did in the next few hours could change human history forever. "All stop," Jake ordered. "Lisa, power down all non-essential systems. I want us to look as peaceful as possible." The alien ship appeared on their main screen a few minutes later. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time. The hull was smooth and silver, shaped like a long teardrop. It was at least 3 times bigger than the horizon's edge. Strange lights pulsed along its surface in patterns that hurt to look at for too long. "They're scanning us," Danny reported. "Very thorough scans. They're learning everything about our ship." "Are they trying to communicate?" Jake asked. "Not yet, but I'm detecting some kind of transmission. It's not directed at us, though. They're talking to someone else." Kate was working frantically at her station. "I'm trying to decode their signal. The mathematics are incredibly complex, but I think I can figure out the basics." An hour passed before anything happened. Then the alien ship moved closer. Much closer. It stopped just a few hundred meters away from the horizon's edge. Up close, the humans could see that the alien ship was covered in symbols that seemed to move and change. "Captain," Danny said, his voice tight with nervousness. "They're hailing us." Jake straightened his uniform and walked to the center of the bridge. "Put them through." The main screen flickered and changed. Instead of stars, they now saw the interior of the alien ship. The being that appeared on screen was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large black eyes. It wore robes that seemed to be made of liquid metal. When it spoke, its voice was translated by their computer, but the tone was cold and superior. "I am Ambassador Zeth Cole of the Veltharian Confederation. You are humans from the 3rd planet of the Sol system. We have been monitoring your species for some time." Jake stepped forward. "I'm Captain Jake Morrison of the Earthship Horizon's Edge. We come in peace, hoping to learn about the galaxy and meet new civilizations." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter, but there was no warmth in it. "How quaint. Another primitive species believes they are ready for the greater galaxy." Zeth Cole's large eyes seemed to look right through Jake. "Let me explain your situation, human. This galaxy is not the empty wilderness you imagine. It is organized, civilized, and governed by laws that have kept peace for thousands of your years." "We're willing to learn," Jake replied carefully. "Good. Then you will understand when I tell you that your species must submit to the authority of the Galactic Council. You will accept classification as a developing species. Your movements will be restricted to your home system until you prove you can follow our rules. Your technology will be monitored to ensure you do not become a threat." Lisa made a small, angry sound from her station. Kate looked shocked. Danny was recording everything, but his face showed his disgust. Jake kept his voice calm. "And if we refuse? Then you will be made to comply. We have dealt with stubborn species before. Some learned wisdom, others..." Zeth Cole made a gesture that needed no translation. "I need time to consider your offer," Jake said. "You have one of your hours. Do not attempt to leave this system. Our weapons are far superior to anything your species possesses." The screen went black. The bridge was quiet for a long moment. "Well, that went about as badly as possible," Lisa said finally. Danny was still working at his station. "Captain, I'm picking up their internal communications. They're not being careful about encryption. I think they don't believe we're smart enough to understand their technology." "What are they saying?" Jake asked. "They're preparing to disable our engines. They plan to tow us back to one of their bases. There's also talk about making an example of us to discourage other human ships from exploring." Kate looked up from her science station. "I've been analyzing their ship while they were talking. Their energy shields have a rotating frequency, but there's a gap in the cycle. It lasts less than a second, but if we could time it right." "You're thinking of fighting them?" Jake asked. "I'm thinking of running," Kate replied. "But we'd need a distraction." Lisa grinned. "I can give you a distraction. Their scanning beams are still active. If I reverse our sensor array and send a feedback pulse at just the right moment, it should overload their scanning systems." Jake looked around at his crew. These were good people, smart people. They didn't deserve to be prisoners in their own galaxy. "Do it." The next few minutes were the longest of Jake's life. Lisa worked at her station, preparing the feedback pulse. Kate calculated the exact timing they would need. Danny monitored the alien ship's communications, waiting for the right moment. "Now," Kate shouted. Lisa hit her controls. The horizon's edge sent a massive energy pulse directly into the alien ship's scanning beam. The Veltharian ship's lights flickered and went dark for several seconds. "Their shields are down," Kate reported. "Jump," Jake ordered. The stars stretched into lines as the horizon's edge leaped into faster-than-light travel. They had escaped, but Jake knew this was just the beginning. The aliens had been hiding something important, something that might threaten every living thing in the galaxy. As they flew through hyperspace toward an unknown destination, Jake made a decision that would change everything. They would not return to Earth as ordered. They would find out what the Galactic Council was hiding, no matter the cost. Behind them, Ambassador Zethkol stood on his bridge, watching the space where the human ship had been. For the first time in his long life, a primitive species had surprised him. This would not be forgotten or forgiven. 3 months had passed since the horizon's edge escaped from the Veltharian ship. Captain Jake Morrison had kept his crew busy exploring the outer regions of the galaxy, staying far away from the major shipping routes and established colonies. They had learned much about their new galactic neighbors, and none of it was good news. Kate Williams looked up from her science station with tired eyes. She'd been working for 18 hours straight, analyzing data from their latest discovery. "Captain, you need to see this," she said quietly. Jake walked over to her station. The rest of the bridge crew gathered around them. Over the past months, they had become like a family. They trusted each other completely, which was good because they could trust nobody else in the galaxy. "I've been tracking those strange energy readings we keep detecting," Kate continued. "The ones that appear for a few seconds and then vanish. I finally figured out what they are." She brought up a star map on the main screen. "Each of these red dots marks a star system where we detected the energy signature." Danny Cole whistled softly. "There must be hundreds of them." "More than that," Kate said. "And they're all moving in the same direction, toward the center of the galaxy." She changed the display to show the galaxy from the side. "Look at this pattern. It's like something is eating its way through space, consuming everything in its path." Lisa Rodriguez frowned at the display. "How big are we talking about?" "Entire star systems, Lisa. Billions of stars. Gone. Just empty space left behind." Kate's voice was barely above a whisper. "Whatever is doing this has been working for a very long time, thousands of years, maybe more." Jake felt a cold fear in his stomach. "The Galactic Council knows about this. They have to know." "That's what I think too," Kate agreed. "And they're not telling anyone." A soft beeping sound interrupted their conversation. Danny was receiving a transmission from long-range sensors. "Captain, we've got company. 3 ships approaching fast. They're human ships." Jake felt his heart sink. Earth had found them. "Can you identify them?" "The lead ship is the UES Striker. Captain Rex Butler commanding." Jake knew that name. Rex Butler was one of Earth's best military officers, He was also completely loyal to Earth's government, which meant he would follow orders no matter what those orders were. "They're hailing us," Danny reported. "Put them through." The main screen showed the bridge of the Striker. Captain Rex Butler was a large man with short gray hair and cold blue eyes. He wore the blue uniform of Earth's Space Force, and his expression was not friendly. "Jake, Morrison," Butler said without any greeting. "You and your crew are in serious trouble. Earth Command has ordered me to bring you back for debriefing." "Hello to you too, Rex," Jake replied. "What's the real story? Are we under arrest?" Butler's face didn't change. "Earth has been negotiating with the Galactic Council. We're close to an agreement that will give humanity protected status. Your little adventure has made those negotiations much more difficult." "Protected status?" Lisa said angrily. "You mean slavery?" Butler's eyes flicked to Lisa, then back to Jake. "I mean survival. The Council has weapons that could turn Earth into dust. We need their protection." Jake shook his head. "Rex, there's something out there that's destroying entire star systems. Something the Council is hiding from everyone. We can't trust them." "I don't care about your conspiracy theories," Butler replied. "I have orders. Surrender now, or I'll take you by force." "Before," Jake could answer. All the ship's alarms started blaring. Danny's fingers flew over his controls. Multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace, unknown configuration. The main screen switched to show space around them. Dozens of strange ships had appeared from nowhere. They were black as space itself, covered in geometric patterns that seemed to move and shift. The ships made no sound, but somehow everyone on both human ships could feel their presence like a weight pressing down on their minds. "What are those things?" Butler demanded. Kate was working frantically at her station. "The energy signatures match the readings I've been tracking. Captain, I think these are the ships that have been destroying star systems." One of the black ships moved toward the Striker. It didn't fire any weapons. Instead, it simply touched the hull of Butler's ship. Where it made contact, the metal began to dissolve, not burning or melting, but simply disappearing as if it had never existed. "All ships evasive maneuvers," Jake shouted. The space around them became chaos. The black ships moved with impossible speed and precision. They didn't seem interested in destroying the human ships quickly. Instead, they appeared to be studying them, learning from them. Butler's voice came over the radio, tight with fear. "Morrison, what are these things?" "I don't know," Jake replied honestly, "but I think they're what's been eating the galaxy." Lisa was working at her engineering station, trying to understand how the alien ships worked. Their technology is completely different from anything we've seen. They're not using normal matter, it's like they're made of organized energy. One of the black ships approached the horizon's edge. Jake could see strange symbols moving across its hull. As it got closer, he began to hear something. Not a sound, but thoughts that weren't his own. Ancient thoughts, filled with sadness and hunger. "They're trying to communicate," Kate said suddenly. "I'm getting readings that look like language patterns." "Can you understand them?" Jake asked. "I'm trying. It's not like any language I've ever seen. It's more like mathematics. Pure mathematics." The black ship stopped just outside the horizon's edge. The thoughts in Jake's head became clearer. Images flashed through his mind. He saw civilizations, rising and falling. Great cities that touched the stars, wars that burned entire sectors of space, and through it all the same desperate hunger, the same endless searching. "Captain," Kate whispered, "I think they're looking for something. Something they lost a long time ago." Before Jake could respond, the black ships simply vanished. One moment they were there, the next they were gone, leaving only empty space and two very shaken human crews. Butler's face appeared on the screen again. His arrogant confidence was gone, replaced by fear and confusion. "Morrison, what just happened?" "I think we just met the real threat to the galaxy," Jake replied. "And I don't think the Galactic Council has any idea how to stop them." Butler was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was different, less commanding, more uncertain. "What do you suggest we do?" Jake looked around at his crew. Lisa nodded encouragingly. Danny gave him a thumbs up. Kate was already working on new calculations. "We find out what those things are looking for," Jake said, "and we find it before they destroy everything in the galaxy trying to get it." Butler made his decision. "My orders were to bring you back to Earth, but Earth won't matter if the galaxy is empty. I'm with you, Morrison. What do you need?" Jake smiled for the first time in months. Maybe humanity had a chance after all. The two human ships traveled together through the empty regions of space for 2 weeks. Captain Jake Morrison stood in the meeting room aboard the Horizon's Edge, looking at the star charts spread across the table. Captain Rex Butler sat across from him, along with the senior officers from both crews. "The energy trail leads here," Kate Williams said, pointing to a distant star system on the map. "The Andorian system. According to the Galactic Council databases we accessed, it was once home to an advanced civilization. Now it's listed as a dead zone. No ships are allowed to enter." Lieutenant Amy Chen from Butler's crew leaned forward. "Why would the Council forbid travel there if it's just empty space?" "Because it's not empty," Kate replied. "I'm detecting massive energy signatures from the fourth planet. Something is still active there." Lisa Rodriguez had been quiet during the meeting, but now she spoke up. "I've been thinking about those black ships, the way they moved, the way they seemed to study us. They weren't just destroying things randomly. They were looking for something specific." Sergeant Ben Parker, Butler's security chief, nodded. "They had plenty of chances to destroy us, but they didn't. That suggests they need us alive for some reason." Jake studied the star charts again. "The Andorians were destroyed 50,000 years ago, according to the records. But what if they left something behind? Something that could help us understand what those black ships want?" Butler made his decision. "Set course for the Andorian system. If there are answers there, we need to find them." The journey took 3 days. As they approached the fourth planet, both crews could see why the system was considered dangerous. The planet was covered in massive structures that reached up into space. Ancient cities that had been built to last forever, now dark and silent after millennia of abandonment. "I'm reading energy sources all over the planet," Kate reported. "Some kind of power grid that's still active after all this time." Danny Cole was monitoring communications frequencies. "There's something else, Captain. I'm picking up transmissions from the planet. Very faint, but definitely artificial." "Can you decode them?" Jake asked. "Working on it. The signal pattern is incredibly complex, but there's something familiar about it, almost like it's designed to be understood by anyone with basic mathematics." As their ships entered orbit around the planet, something unexpected happened. The ancient structures on the surface began to glow with soft blue light. The transmissions Danny was monitoring became stronger and clearer. "Captain," Kate said with excitement in her voice, "the planet is responding to our presence. It knows we're here." Butler activated the communication system between the two ships. "All hands, prepare for possible first contact. We don't know what we're dealing with here." The main screen flickered and changed. Instead of showing the planet below, it now displayed the interior of what looked like a vast library. Floating in the center of the room was a being made of pure light, shaped roughly like a tall human but constantly shifting and changing. When it spoke, its voice seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Welcome, young ones. I am Aetheris, keeper of the Andorian memory. We have been waiting for someone like you for a very long time." Jake stepped forward. "Like us? What do you mean?" "Beings who can think in ways that others cannot. Beings who can adapt and change when faced with the impossible." The light being moved closer to the screen. "Tell me, humans, what do you know of the Devourers?" "The black ships?" Jake asked. "We've encountered them. They seem to be destroying star systems throughout the galaxy." Aetheris made a sound that might have been laughter, but there was no joy in it. "The Devourers are not destroyers, young captain. They are the lost children of the first great civilization in this galaxy. 50,000 years ago, they were beings much like yourselves. But they made a choice that doomed them to eternal suffering." Kate leaned forward. "What kind of choice?" They chose to abandon their physical forms and become beings of pure thought and energy. They believed this would make them immortal and perfect. Instead, it trapped them in a prison of their own making. They cannot feel, cannot grow, cannot find peace. They wander the galaxy, consuming civilizations in a desperate search for something they have lost. What are they looking for? Butler asked. The ability to feel again, to be truly alive. They consume other minds, hoping to find the secret of consciousness that they gave up so long ago. Aetheris grew brighter. We Andorians fought them for centuries. We could not destroy them, but we found a way to hide from them. We transferred our consciousness into these machines, becoming like them but retaining our ability to grow and change. Lisa spoke up. You're saying the Devourers were once a normal species that made themselves into machines? Yes. And now they are trapped in that form forever, unless they can find a way to return to biological existence. But such a thing is impossible, or so we thought. The light being moved closer to the screen. Until now. There is something unique about your species, humans. Your minds work differently than any other species we have encountered. You have the potential to bridge the gap between biological and digital consciousness. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. What are you asking us to do? We are not asking anything, Captain Morrison. We are offering you a choice. The Andorians developed weapons that could destroy the Devourers completely, end their suffering, and the threat they pose to the galaxy. But there is another way. A way that could save them and transform them back into beings capable of peace. Ben Parker stepped forward. What's the catch? The process requires volunteers from your species to merge their consciousness with Devourer technology. They would become something new, neither fully human nor fully machine, but capable of communicating with both forms of life. However, the transformation is permanent. There is no way back. The bridge became very quiet. Everyone understood what Aetheris was saying. To save the galaxy, some humans would have to give up their humanity forever. Butler broke the silence. How many volunteers would you need? At least a dozen to begin the process. But the more who volunteer, the greater the chance of success. Amy Chen stood up straight. I volunteer. Ben Parker nodded. So do I. Danny Cole raised his hand. Count me in. One by one, more officers from both crews volunteered. Jake felt pride and terror in equal measure. These brave men and women were willing to sacrifice everything to save billions of lives they would never meet. There is one more thing you must know, Aetheris said quietly. The Galactic Council knows about this choice. They have decided that the risk is too great. They are sending a fleet to destroy this planet and everyone on it, including you. Kate checked her instruments. Captain, I'm reading multiple ships dropping out of hyperspace. Council fleet signatures. Jake looked around at his crew and Butler's officers. How long do we have? Perhaps an hour before they arrive in weapons range, Aetheris replied. Jake made his decision. Then we better get started. Show us what we need to do. As the ancient Andorian began explaining the transformation process, Jake wondered if they were about to save the galaxy or doom humanity forever. But one thing was certain. They were about to find out why humans would become the most feared species in the galaxy. The Galactic Council fleet arrived exactly when Aetheris had predicted. 40 massive warships dropped out of hyperspace and formed a battle line around the Andorian planet. Each ship was 5 times larger than the human vessels and carried weapons that could crack a planet in half. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the horizon's edge, watching the enemy fleet on the main screen. His hands were steady, but his heart was racing. In the past hour, everything had changed. 12 volunteers from both human crews were now connected to ancient Andorian machines, beginning the transformation that would either save the galaxy or destroy it. Incoming transmission from the Council flagship, Danny Cole reported. His voice was calm, but Jake could see the tension in his shoulders. Put them through. The main screen showed a being Jake had never seen before. It looked like a giant insect with multiple arms and compound eyes that reflected the bridge lights. When it spoke, Its voice buzzed with authority and contempt. "I am Grand Admiral Vextar of the Galactic Council Defense Force. You will surrender immediately and submit to Council justice. Your interference in galactic security has gone too far." Jake stepped forward. "We're trying to find a peaceful solution to the Devourer threat, something your council has failed to do for 50,000 years. Vextar's compound eyes focused on Jake. "Peace? These humans believe they can solve problems that have existed since before their species learned to make fire. Your arrogance is remarkable." "It's not arrogance," Jake replied. "It's hope. Something your council seems to have lost." The alien admiral made a clicking sound that might have been laughter. "Hope does not stop the Devourers from consuming star systems. Only superior firepower can do that. We have prepared weapons that will create a barrier around the galaxy's core worlds. The outer systems will be sacrificed to save the civilized regions." Captain Rex Butler's voice came over the communication system. "You're talking about abandoning billions of people, including Earth." "Acceptable losses," Vextar replied without emotion. "Better to save some than to lose all. Now surrender, or we will take the Andorian weapons by force." Jake looked at Kate Williams, who was monitoring the transformation process. She held up 5 fingers, then closed her fist. 5 more minutes until the process was complete. "We need more time," Jake said quietly. Lisa Rodriguez was working frantically at her engineering station. "The planet's defense systems are coming online, but they're designed to fight the Devourers, not council ships." Deep inside the ancient Andorian facility, Amy Chen felt her consciousness expanding in ways she had never imagined. The machine she was connected to was teaching her mind to think in new patterns, to understand the digital language of the Devourers. Around her, 11 other humans were going through the same transformation. The process was not painful, but it was strange, beyond description. Amy could feel her human thoughts remaining intact while new capabilities grew around them like flowers blooming in her mind. She was still Amy Chen, but she was becoming something more. Ben Parker was the first to make contact. His consciousness touched something vast and ancient, full of endless longing. It was a devourer, but not the terrifying machine he had expected. Instead, he felt a being that had been trapped in digital form for so long that it had forgotten what happiness felt like. "I can hear them," Ben said, his voice echoing strangely through the facility. "They're not evil. They're lost. They've been searching for so long that they don't remember what they're looking for." On the surface, the Council fleet began to move into attack position. Grand Admiral Vextar had lost patience with the humans. Energy weapons powered up, ready to turn the planet into molten slag. "Final warning," Vextar announced. "Surrender now or face destruction." Jake made his choice. "Danny, broadcast this transmission to every ship in the galaxy. It's time everyone knew the truth." Danny's fingers flew over his controls. Within seconds, Jake's voice was being transmitted across thousands of star systems. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Horizon's Edge. For 50,000 years, the Galactic Council has lied to you about the Devourers. They are not unstoppable destroyers. They are the victims of their own choices, trapped in digital form and searching for a way to feel alive again. Today, humans are offering them that chance." Vextar's angry voice cut across the transmission. "Lies and propaganda. Attack formation. Prepare to fire." That was when everything changed. Amy Chen and the other transformed humans made their breakthrough. Their consciousness, enhanced by Andorian technology, but still fundamentally human, reached out across space and touched the minds of the approaching Devourer fleet. For the first time in 50,000 years, the Devourers heard thoughts that were not filled with fear or hatred. The black ships appeared around the Council fleet without warning, but instead of attacking, they simply stopped and waited. The Devourers were listening to something they had never heard before. The sound of minds that could understand their pain and offer them hope. Ben Parker's voice echoed across the communication channels, speaking in the mathematical language of the Devourers. "We know what you are searching for. We can help you find it, but you must choose to accept our help." The response came from thousands of Devourer ships at once, a chorus of digital voices that had been silent for millennia. "We choose hope." Grand Admiral Vextar watched in horror as his fleet found itself surrounded by the very beings they had come to fight. "All ships open fire. Destroy them all." Some Council ships obeyed and fired their weapons. The energy beams struck the Devourer ships but simply disappeared, absorbed and converted into harmless light. Other Council ships hesitated, their crews uncertain about attacking beings that were no longer hostile. Jake watched as the first Devourer ship began to change. Its black hull became transparent, revealing the machinery inside. But the machinery was changing too, becoming less rigid and more organic. The transformed humans were teaching the Devourers how to rebuild themselves, how to become something that could feel again. "It's working," Kate reported with amazement. "The Devourers are reverting to a biological form, not their original form, but something new, something that combines the best of organic and digital life." Lisa looked up from her station. "Captain, I'm reading massive energy surges throughout the galaxy. Every Devourer ship is beginning the transformation process." The first transformed Devourer ship approached the horizon's edge. When it spoke, its voice was filled with wonder and gratitude. "We remember now what we lost. We remember what it means to feel joy. Thank you, humans. You have given us the greatest gift possible." Grand Admiral Vextar realized that his carefully planned operation had become a disaster. The Devourers were no longer a threat to be destroyed, but potential allies to be negotiated with. His fleet was outnumbered 1,000 to 1 by beings who could now think and feel as well as calculate. "This is not over," Vextar transmitted to the human ships. "The Council will not forget this interference." Jake smiled. "I'm counting on it. The galaxy is about to change, and your Council is going to change with it or be left behind." As the Council fleet retreated, Jake looked around at his crew. They had done something unprecedented in galactic history. They had turned the galaxy's greatest threat into its greatest hope. And in doing so, they had shown every species in the galaxy that humans were not just another primitive race to be controlled. They were the species that could do the impossible. 6 months had passed since the transformation of the Devourers. Captain Jake Morrison, now Admiral Morrison, stood in the command center of what had once been the Galactic Council's capital station. The massive structure orbited a blue star at the center of the galaxy, and from here Jake could see the ships of 100 different species coming and going peacefully. The galaxy had changed more in 6 months than it had in the previous 1,000 years. Amy Chen walked into the command center, but she was no longer entirely human. Her transformation had been successful beyond anyone's expectations. She appeared mostly human, but her eyes glowed with soft blue light, and strange patterns moved beneath her skin like living tattoos. When she spoke, her voice carried harmonics that could communicate with both biological and digital minds simultaneously. "The integration process is ahead of schedule," Amy reported. 17 more Devourer fleets have completed their transformation this week. They're calling themselves the Renewed now. Jake nodded. The name fit. The former Devourers had become something entirely new, beings that combined the vast computational power of machines with the creativity and emotion of biological life. They had stopped consuming star systems and had begun rebuilding the worlds they had destroyed, creating gardens in space where once there had been only emptiness. "What about the resistance movements?" Jake asked. Ben Parker materialized beside them. His transformation had taken a different path than Amy's. He could shift between physical and digital form at will, making him the perfect ambassador between the biological and digital worlds. The Council loyalist fleets are still fighting in the Outer Rim, but they're losing support every day. Most species are choosing to join the new Galactic Alliance. The new Galactic Alliance had been Jake's idea, born from humanity's simple belief that all thinking beings deserved equal treatment. Unlike the old Council, which had been dominated by a few powerful species, the Alliance gave every civilization a voice, no matter how small or technologically primitive. Lisa Rodriguez entered the command center carrying a datapad filled with engineering reports. She had chosen not to undergo transformation, remaining fully human but working closely with both the Renewed and the advanced Andorian technology. The terraforming projects in the former dead zones are showing incredible progress. The renewed can reshape matter at the molecular level. They've turned 3 dead star systems into garden worlds in the past month. Kate Williams followed Lisa into the room. Like Lisa, she had remained human, but her research into consciousness and the nature of thought had advanced by centuries in just 6 months. We've made another breakthrough in the communication protocols. We can now translate thoughts directly between any species, no matter how different their brain structure. Danny Cole's voice came over the communication system from his position in the Alliance headquarters. Admiral, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth. President, Harris wants to speak with you directly. Jake sighed. Earth's government had not been happy about humanity's new role in galactic affairs. They had wanted their species to remain safe and unnoticed, not become the bridge between organic and digital life. Put him through, President. Harris appeared on the main screen. He was an older man with gray hair and worried eyes. Behind him, Jake could see the familiar skyline of New Geneva, Earth's capital city. Admiral Morrison, Harris began formally, the Earth Council has voted. We're recalling all human ships and personnel from galactic service. This experiment has gone far enough. Jake had been expecting this conversation for months. With respect, Mr. President, I don't think you understand what we've accomplished here. We've ended a 50,000-year-old war and created the first truly peaceful galactic civilization in recorded history. At what cost? Harris demanded. 12 of our people have been permanently altered. They're not human anymore, and now every species in the galaxy either worships us or fears us. That's not the kind of attention Earth wants. Amy stepped forward, her transformed features clearly visible on the transmission. Mr. President, we chose this path freely. We're still human where it matters. We still care about our families, our friends, our homeworld, but we've also gained the ability to prevent wars before they start, to heal damaged worlds, to bring peace to species that have been fighting for millennia. Harris looked uncomfortable. You may think you're still human, but our scientists disagree. You've become something else, something alien. Ben Parker's digital form shimmered into view. Is empathy alien? Is the desire to help others alien? Because that's all we've gained, Mr. President. The power to understand and help on a scale that was impossible before. The Council resistance has put a price on Earth's head, Harris continued. They blame us for the fall of their government. They've already attacked 3 human colonies. Jake's expression hardened. And what did the Alliance do about those attacks? The renewed response was immediate, Kate reported. They surrounded the attacking fleets and offered them the same choice they had given the original Devourers. Transform and join the Alliance, or face justice for attacking innocents. Most chose transformation, Lisa added. Those who didn't were placed in stasis until they changed their minds. Harris shook his head. This is exactly what we were afraid of. You've created a situation where the only choices are join or be assimilated. How is that different from what the Devourers were doing? Amy's glowing eyes grew brighter. Because we offer choice, Mr. President, real choice. The Devourers consumed minds because they were desperate and didn't know any other way. We offer transformation to those who want it, protection to those who need it, and justice to those who choose violence over peace. But not freedom, Harris said quietly. Not the freedom to be left alone. Jake understood the president's fear, but he also understood the reality of their situation. Mr. President, the galaxy will never leave Earth alone again. We've proven that humanity can do things no other species can do. We can either use that ability to build a better galaxy, or we can hide and hope nobody notices us. But hiding isn't an option anymore. A new voice joined the conversation. It was Aetheris, the ancient Andorian consciousness. President Harris, if I may speak, your species has a choice to make. You can embrace your role as bridge builders and peacemakers, or you can retreat and watch as others try to fill that role less successfully. And if we choose to retreat? Harris asked. Then you will be protected and left in peace, Aetheris replied. The Alliance honors the choice to remain uninvolved, But you should know that every day we delay, more conflicts arise that only humans seem able to resolve peacefully. Jake made his decision. Mr. President, I'm resigning my commission with Earth's Space Force. The Alliance needs human leadership, and I can't serve two masters. But I want you to know that everything we do here, we do partly for Earth's benefit. A peaceful galaxy is a safe galaxy. Harris was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was sad. I understand your choice, Admiral. But I can't support it officially. Earth must protect itself. After the transmission ended, Jake looked around at his transformed and unchanged human colleagues. They had become something unprecedented in galactic history, a species that could adapt to any situation while maintaining their core values. Amy placed a hand on Jake's shoulder. Her touch was warm and familiar, despite her transformation. Do you regret the choice we made? Jake thought about the billions of lives they had saved, the wars they had prevented, the hope they had brought to species that had forgotten what peace looked like. No, he said finally. I think we did exactly what humans do best. We found a way to make the impossible possible. Ben Parker's voice carried a note of amusement. The Galactic Council feared us because they thought we would conquer them. Instead, we saved them from themselves. Kate looked up from her research station. I've been analyzing the psychological profiles of the major galactic powers. Fear and respect often go together. They fear us because they can't predict what we'll do next. They respect us because everything we've done has made the galaxy better. Lisa grinned. So we've become the most feared and respected species in the galaxy by being the most helpful. Only humans would accomplish galactic domination through kindness. Danny's voice came over the communication system again. Admiral, we're receiving requests for mediation from 14 different conflicts. Also, 3 more species want to join. The Alliance and the Renewed have discovered a way to reverse the damage done to the galaxy's outer spiral arm. Jake smiled. Being the most feared and respected species in the galaxy was turning out to be a full-time job. But it was a job that only humans could do, and they were doing it well. The incident that started with a single ship's refusal to accept subjugation had grown into something that changed the nature of galactic civilization forever. And at the center of it all were humans, proving once again that the most dangerous thing in the universe was not superior technology or overwhelming force, but the refusal to accept that any problem was truly unsolvable.